Welcome, everybody. We're so thrilled that you're joining us for Pumped for Primary 4. We're excited to share all the wonderful things that happen in our program. And in just a moment, we're going to introduce our teachers. But my name is Whitney Zisman, and I'm the head of primary school and early childhood. And I look forward to sharing with you in a little bit about a day in the life of Primary 4. So I'm going to introduce the teachers. They have stepped out of their classrooms to have a moment to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about their journey here at Holy Spirit and their favorite thing about Primary 4. And I'm going to let them go first so that they can get on back to class. And so I'm going to step out so that they can introduce themselves without wearing their mask. So I'll see you in just a moment.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jenna McKim, and I have been at Holy Spirit this is my 11th year. I actually went to Holy Spirit as a child, and my mother and my aunt taught here, and I kind of just followed in their footsteps because I love this community so much. It's always been like a family to me. One thing I love about Primary 4 is it's like the first year that a lot of these kids are starting to write and color and create, and they're kind of starting to understand that they can be creators, they can write their own stories, they could be authors. So it's just fun to see their growth from August to May, because it's really like physically to see what they can create from beginning to end is just always so inspiring and so fun to see. So I'm gonna let the next teacher come in. It's so nice to see all y'all. Y'all have a good day.
Hi, everyone. My name is Angela Litsky, and this year I am the teacher for the Navigator class. I've been teaching for 9 years. This is my second year at Holy Spirit. Last year, I was an assistant with Jessica Keyboards in the Explorer classroom. I'm originally from Dallas. My husband got a job in Houston, and that's what brought me to Holy Spirit 2 years ago. My favorite part about Primary 4 is that they can really start exploring their academic side. We write a lot. They learn that they can start writing, making stories. They start counting and adding and subtracting. So really just exploring that academic side and getting ready for kindergarten is my favorite part. And like Jenna said, seeing the growth from August all the way to May is amazing. All right, thanks. Have a good day, y'all.
Hi, I am Jessica Keyboards. I'm coming up on my 10th year at Holy Spirit. I started as a substitute teacher at Holy Spirit, and I just fell in love with the school and the community. My coworkers were amazing. The families have been amazing. Yep, year 10, I'm so excited. One of my favorite things about Holy Spirit, kind of going off of what Angela and Jenna said, it's such a community. You get such a community feel, you know everyone, and I just love that about Holy Spirit. And then my favorite part is with the students, they come to you, I like to say, as a blank canvas. They are blank, and we get to develop and create a masterpiece. And by the end of the year, they've turned into just these beautiful masterpieces, and we get to pass them on to kindergarten, and it's such a blessing, and I absolutely love it. So thank y'all. Good to see everyone.
Thank you, Jessica. I'm getting ready to share screen, so give me a moment, and then wonderful. Well, we are really just going to talk about what a typical day in Primary 4 is like. And I know so many of you have just loved the Primary 3 year. It is such a special year. And I just want to say, I also know it's been an interesting year because the lack of the ability to come on campus and see all the wonderful things that are happening in the Primary 3 classrooms probably make it even more difficult to kind of be able to appreciate all the wonderful things that are happening in class. So we recognize that it's been an interesting year. And, you know, one of the things that's most special about our school is our community, and that we do have small class sizes. We do have 2 teachers in every room. We max out the class sizes between 14 and 16. This year it was 14 because of COVID. We really definitely hope that we can all move past the COVID experience for next school year. And some of the things that make our community special, we hope that we're able to get back to, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go. But really having a small class size is such a huge deal, especially as they're getting ready for kindergarten and preparing for kindergarten. And I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but I work at Holy Spirit, but I also mentor and help with Rice school literacy and culture. And so I'm fortunately, I've had the opportunity to spend some time in a lot of different schools, private and public and charter and all kinds of things. And every time I go out to another campus, I'm so thankful for Holy Spirit that we have our small class size and have the ability to personalize instruction and to meet children where they are. It is a wonderful blessing. I have been in pre-K 4 classrooms where there are 24 kids with one teacher, with a second teacher coming in just for lunch breaks, or if there's an injury. And I really just can't imagine, because when I walk into our primary 4 classes and I see, 14 children or 16 children all working and busy and playing and interacting with 2 adult teachers full time, it is a huge deal. So we are really proud of that. We do welcome involved parents. I know that's been unique to see this year, just with the current situation. On all accounts, it looks like this year is going to continue to be kind of unique in that way, but we really are passionate about being able to return to normal, so to speak, next year. And we really hope that some of those things like Grandparents' Day will not be virtual next year, that we'll be back in person, and classroom parties and coming to chapel with your children and celebrating their birthday chapel and being able to see the children perform and sing. All those little things we really hope to get back to. So of course, each day in primary 4 starts with a morning meeting. And I'm sure you may or may not know this from pictures from Seesaw this year, but the school starts with a Pledge of Allegiance led by lower school students. And so there's always an opportunity to just gather together, have a community time. It might be, it might be a show and tell day. It might be sharing. It might be sharing your news of the day. But it always is a way to start the day and to anchor the day as children prepare. Of course, this is the time when teachers share what's going to be happening today. Today we have music and PE, or today we have chapel outside. And so it's just a wonderful way to start each day. Small group instruction is another big part of primary 4. And I loved what the teacher said, because in primary 4, we still believe in play. We're passionate that that is the way that children learn best. But in primary 4, they're able to start attending to more. So yes, there is a lot of play and there's opportunities to learn through play. But they're also able to attend to some of those academic things, with math and language arts and learning to read and all kinds of wonderful things. But we anchor it in a way where the children, they believe they're playing, but we know that they're learning. So I just love that every class, every day has small group instruction. Typically what that looks like with this size of class is that there would be 3 groups. So each 2 of the groups would have a teacher with them, walking them through the lesson or the activity. And then the 3rd group would be doing something independent in another area of the class. And then they rotate so that every child gets to experience all the different centers. And Jessica, I will just say, as I'm going, if there is anything that you want to jump in and add, feel free to do that. Jessica is, of course, one of our primary 4 teachers, and she is staying on the Zoom with us today. So she'll be able to help jump in when we have questions. So in primary 4, it is the first official year of our math curriculum. In primary 3, they do math as well, but it's built in through all the different lessons of the day. But in primary 4, it becomes a more organized curriculum. It's called Bridges in Mathematics. And really the idea is it's the same concept of learning through play, introducing all kinds of concepts, including algebra and geometry and all kinds of things, but doing it in a way that scaffolds the children. So the curriculum continues to circle back So pre-K primary 4 is the first year that it starts, and it continues on up through our lower school through 4th grade. You can see in the upper right picture, of course, we're doing calendar, but there's a pattern to the calendar. So each month there's a different pattern, and the children help be part of that by, in this case, they were coloring the leaves and participating in adding to the calendar. There's games involved. The children love it. The little games come in bags, and so they get into their small group and they play the games. And again, it's all learning through play. And so typically there's a whole group lesson, and then they go into small group from there to practice their skills. We do pull, oops, I'm gonna go. Rice early literacy, of course, continues on in primary 4. You've probably experienced a lot of the Rice early literacy in primary 3. In the upper right picture, you can see a teacher taking a story. So that's an important thing. Each child has an opportunity to share their own story. And then what happens is the class will then act out that story. And so I'm sure you've seen in Seesaw this year, the classrooms acting out stories. They might act out 3 bears or 3 little kittens, or some of the quality early childhood books that we love to foster a love for. But in primary 4, it's fun because we extend that. They started in primary 3, but in primary 4, it continues to go, where the children start telling their own stories. And really what that is doing is helping children with their oral language. It's authentically teaching children elements of a story, beginning, middle, end. If there's something exciting in the story, or there's dialogue in the story, the teacher can organically talk about quotation marks and exclamation points and question marks and all of those things. And it's a much more authentic way to learn those things, rather than doing, let's say, worksheets, learning about those things. So it's a comprehensive way that the children love. They wait their turn. They're anxious to tell their own story. They can't wait for their friends to act out their story. And it's an important part of our curriculum. And as we go forward, I'm going to show you some more pictures too. I love that. One of the things that Rice does is they research best practices in early childhood, and then they help teachers implement that in our community. And so really looking for ways to buy children's interest or have them buy in on authentically reading and writing. We know children, when they're interested in something, the learning is going to be much more meaningful. And so I just love this sign, for example, the Explorer class did a cupcake bakery. And so, anywhere we can have the children be the ones. We don't want to have, the teacher printing things for a sign. We want the children to authentically write it, so they get excited about participating in that way. Another Rice piece is, writing around the room. So the children get excited. They all have a clipboard and a pencil, and they take a moment and they go write the room, and they write all the things that they see. So you'll see a lot more of this kind of thing as they progress into primary 4. I love this story on the bottom right. Of course, our friends who really love to play in the block center, sometimes our builders are not our favorite. Their favorite thing is not necessarily to stop and write. So I love how just giving the concept of putting writing materials into the block center and encouraging the kids to create their own blueprints and create and draw and show what they're about to build. So I just love looking for ways to bringing writing around the room as well, not just at the writing center. Story dramas, I mentioned that earlier, that in primary 4, the children can tell their own stories. I have a video, I'm hoping you can see it. This is primary 4 acting out a story, and you will be very familiar with this.
Camera, the 5 little pumpkins. 5 little pumpkins sitting on a gate. The first one said, "Oh, mine's getting lit." The second one says, "We don't care." The third one says, "There are leaves everywhere." The fourth one says, "Let's have some fun." And the fifth one says, "Let's run and run and run." Then whoosh went the wind, and out went the lights. And the 5 little pumpkins rolled out of sight.
What I love about that is the children are having fun. They're excited, but as the teacher, you can see instantly who is tracking the story. So clearly they've read the story in class already, and now the children can repeat the lines, and so you can kind of see who's tracking. It helps the children practice their social emotional skills of using their big voice and participating. It also helps the children who are in the audience too, because of course they all want to turn right away. And practicing those skills like waiting. It's not your turn to act out this story, but you'll get to act out the next story. And all of those things are so important. The children love acting stories out so much that, like in the bottom left, that is a free center play moment, but the kids in their free centers chose to act out the 3 little kittens. So I just love that they have so much buy-in that they want to do it even in their free time. And some of you might see another picture, and I think actually that one's from primary 3, where they were acting out the mitten. We really believe in dramatizing these stories because it's a fun way for children to learn. Here's another dramatic play example. So I'm sure you've experienced too in primary 3, the children really start to come into their own about choosing their play. And so all the teachers allow the class to vote on what the dramatic play center will be next. And so in this case, primary 4 voted that they wanted to do a space center. And so you can see the children are wearing their jetpacks. And I asked the teacher to take a video of all the different elements of this dramatic play center, because you can really, it represents all the learning that's happening.
We wanted to show y'all our new space center. We have our planets. We have the light table and a rocket ship that we can all take to space. Constellations. They can write what they find. The control panel for the spaceship. Some moon rocks, some stuff to look in the microscope with. A ton of books. Alien headbands. And astronaut jetpacks. We're having a lot of fun.
So I just love that because it shows that the children have ownership. They clearly have been excited about writing and coming up with ideas of what should be in the center. The teachers getting pictures of the kids on different little block pieces so that they can participate in going up in the rocket, and all of that oral language and all of that learning that's happening. Having clipboards and paper and pencils available to the children so that when they are playing, they can write about all the things they're finding on their space adventures. Having books about space in the area. All of those things are just a beautiful way to tie in learning in an authentic way. And so all the teachers do this. I've seen, and I know Jessica shared this, I've seen Target dramatic play centers. I've seen Starbucks dramatic play centers. There's so many things that the children will come up with that are even more clever than we can come up with. Process art is something I know you're very familiar with because we start that in early childhood and continue it on up. But that does continue in through primary 4 as well. Just really providing children opportunities for that open-ended art so that they can explore and experience art. And loose parts is another one that's been a little bit tricky this year with our COVID cleaning policies. But the teachers have been still been able to be clever in finding things that they can clean and participate in. But we really like the bottom right is a dinosaur museum that they created. And so looking for ways to just have the children explore. And one of the things that this represents is that there's multiple ways to solve a problem, right? There's multiple ways to create a dinosaur museum. One child might have that idea and another child might have another idea, and they're both great ideas. And so that getting away from that there's only one right way. And some of that is also learning to navigate those social opportunities too. They have to, work together to collaborate to come up with what they're going to create. And so it just helps create those moments. Free choice centers is definitely another important part. We love the children to be able to have opportunities through the day to choose what they're going to play. It teaches us a lot about where the children are. It shows us, like, for example, if a child is always going to the blocks every time, then it gives us information that we need to help them, figure out how they can choose another center, maybe by putting blocks into another center so that they are encouraged to play. So it's just great information. It helps the children navigate some of those social skills that we're working on and executive functioning skills. It's so important. And it's just fun. This is part of why they love coming to school, and they get out of the car and they're excited to come in because they know right when they walk in the door while they're waiting for other children to arrive, that they'll get to have some free play time. And it's built in through the day. Of course, outdoor play is a huge part. We are so blessed to have a beautiful campus with lots of trees and lots of outdoor areas. So the classrooms do play outside. And I encourage the teachers, if you want to take circle time outside one day, like, please do. We have lots of little nook and crannies on campus, whether it's, outside by the outdoor chapel area or the fields or our little nature garden outside the library. There are lots of ways to take the children outside. And of course, with the COVID year, that's been even more important. But I do want to let you know that outdoor play is not at the expense of, it doesn't go away. Like, for example, if the classrooms have PE that day or have Spanish that day, that doesn't mean they're not going to get to play outside. Like, we believe in getting these children outside and playing. They need to move their bodies, and all that gross motor and fine motor is such an important thing for them to practice. Of course, chapel continues, and I so hope that parents can start coming to chapel again next year. It is such a special, special thing. We've been doing chapel outside a lot this year, and it's just wonderful. You can see the children in the bottom right outside by the outdoor chapel. That's what we're going to be doing for Grandparents' Day as well. So the grandparents can tune in and experience chapel with the class. The children are chapel helpers, so you can see our little friends helping up there. And then, of course, we have our puppets that Mrs. Daniels and Chaplain Susie Scout and Scamper, and the children know they've been introduced to these Scout and Scamper all the way back in EC, and they follow them along and learn lessons and songs and have special moments with the puppet theater. Another thing that's really important and we're excited to get back to is having our lower school buddies. We love it when the older children can come down and read to primary 4 children. And on the same token, we love it when our primary 4 children can go be the buddies for a younger class, and they get to be the big kids too. They kind of stand a little bit taller, and their heads are a little bit taller and shoulders are back when they get to be the ones to read to the younger ones. So that is an important thing that we value here at Holy Spirit, and we are looking forward to getting back to. Service learning is also something that in primary 4 really gets going. Primary 4, just like all of our older grades, it's the first year that they get to participate in Blessings in a Backpack. And so every Friday, lunches are packed. And so like one Friday it might be primary 4, another Friday it might be 3rd grade, but our campus is packing these lunches every day for another school that is less fortunate than us, so that these families can take meals home in a backpack for their family. Special guest, of course, having on-campus field trips, having the firemen visit and the policemen visit, having guest readers. All of those things are so important to us, and we just look forward to getting back to that and expect to get back to that. Of course, the children continue with enrichment classes, so they have music, and here's Miss Daniels in the music room experiencing instruments, and the children do sing and perform for the grandparents in the fall. And then, of course, they have rodeo roundup in the spring, so the primary 4 classes are practicing for that right now, even though we found out the rodeo is probably not going to happen this year. We are still going to have it happen here at Holy Spirit for our primary 4 kiddos because they look forward to that so much. But that's another opportunity for parents to come and see the children perform. They also have art in primary 4. It's the first year that they get to go to the art studio. You can see in the bottom left, they're big enough to go to the art studio with Mrs. Day. And she also, along with teaching art and all the different, textures and I lost my word, but textures for art and all the different art policies and all the things. And I'm sorry, Jessica, I can't remember, but you can see the children out here. I think they were painting skies first, and then they were going to come back and create something else as well. So Mrs. Day is our resident artist on campus, and she is amazing. The children love her, and I know you probably have already heard a lot about Miss Day this year in primary 3. Of course, the classes go to PE too, and this is not at the expense of outdoor play. So Coach Mitrell and sometimes Coach Marge and others lead them through PE, where they do all kinds of things, stretching and running and obstacle courses and parachute play. And something else that you may or may not know is happening. We go through our Yoginos policy. And here's a picture of Mrs. Simons, our head of school, leading children through yoga. And so we have started to do more and more of that this year. And our teachers are going through training this year, and we hope to implement that even more next year. Of course, Spanish. Here's Miss Fairburn teaching Spanish in the classroom. This year, enrichments have looked a little bit different because the enrichment teachers come to the class instead of the class going to them. So it's a little bit different, but it's still working well. The children haven't skipped a beat. But of course, in Spanish, all the basic concepts and counting and numbers and singing songs and all of those things, it's great. Mrs. Broadus is our librarian. If you haven't met her yet, she is phenomenal. She is a wonderful gift to our community. There she is outside with primary 4, reading a story. And so if the children cannot go to the library, then she meets them outside or she goes to the classroom. And really, I hope you got a sense for just our values and honoring students' thoughts, words, and ideas. It's such an important part of what we do, making sure that children are learning in an active way, that we meet the needs of children, academically and socially, emotionally, and spiritually and physically, and all those things, and opportunities for hands-on experiences. We know that private school is an investment. And so we know that the children who are here will be ready for kinder. They will have lots of opportunities to have the one-on-one instruction and the small group instruction and the whole group instruction to be ready. And it's just really fun to see the children flourish and really all the things start connecting, especially in spring of primary 4. These little kids that we've seen grow up since they were babies, it's just amazing that it's almost time for them to think about going to kindergarten. So I think that is the end of the presentation. I have a picture here of our primary, this is actually our primary 3s and 4 team, but our primary 4 team is listed below. And I know that all of them would be willing and able to answer questions about primary 4 specifically. So if you would ever like to email them, Florencia maybe can share some of the team leader, Jessica and Angela and Jenna's email addresses in case they have questions for teachers. Of course, always reach out to me as well. And I believe we're going to open it for questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can see you. And thank you for joining us today. I understand if some of you have to go now, but we'll stay on a little bit for more questions. But thank you for coming.
And actually, I had a great question that I know you just touched on about one-on-one, but this question was about differentiation, and do the teachers have the opportunity to work with these students that maybe are more advanced in certain subjects like reading or, and I know differentiation is also a very important key factor that our teachers do apply a lot.
Absolutely. And Florencia, if you will go ahead and unmute Jessica as well, unless she's already, because I know. Okay, perfect. Jessica, would you like to touch on that about your opportunities to work with children one-on-one?
Yes, it is amazing. At Holy Spirit, having the opportunity to have 2 teachers in the classroom is phenomenal. This year, I'll give an example. I have a student that is ready to kind of go ahead a little bit more, and I am able to sit with her and pull her one-on-one and have time to work with her on sight words and all of the things to get her ready for her pre-reading. So yes, it is an opportunity. And the great part about this is we get to meet the students where they are. So if there are students that are not ready, that is fine. We do not push, but we do take the time, to work with students all across the board one-on-one. And that's what I love about having 2 teachers in the classroom, is we do get that individualized time.
Great question.
Wonderful. Well, and I'm going to go ahead and I've enabled for everyone to unmute themselves. If you'd like to turn on your camera to open up the conversation, that is now available. If you have any questions you'd like to address.
While we're waiting, I also should mention that by now, all of you should have received your re-enrollment instructions for primary 4. And then Jen McMahon also, if you want to wave Jen, she's our director of enrollment management. So she's been on the meeting as well. So if you ever have any questions about any of those kinds of things, don't hesitate to reach out. We know lots of you are in the midst of making decisions. I've talked with some of you one-on-one as well, and we're available to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate it. And like I said, we will be getting a video together, or it's been recorded, and we will send that out when it's ready. It might take some time to get that done, but I would look for it maybe at the end of next week.